Hero today, heretic tomorrow.
Welcome to Twitter.
Welcome to Twitter. Twitter claims another scalp. This time, Twitter has come for Chuck Wendig.
Remember karma.
It is. Remember Chuck Wendig? From a couple months ago, we talked about how he went off on a profanity-laced rant about Republicans and got himself fired from Star Wars projects from Marvel Comics. And he was very, very salty, and the media supported him in freedom of speech.
Right.
And, it was a huge conversation in the comic book industry and in other publications. It actually bled over into even BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed covered it.
But you know what trumps all, no pun intended. That's not a joke. Do you know what trumps all of this? Free. Don't mess with people's free.
Yeah, so I had to do some digging into what is going on with Chuck Wendig. Now, I'm just going to back it up here real quick and just give you a recap. Chuck Wendig was a writer. He worked on multiple Lucasfilm projects, Star Wars projects. A couple of years, I guess it's been 2 years. Has it been that long? It's been 2 years. He was fired from...
Not that long ago.
Yeah, almost a year and a half ago. He was fired from Marvel Comics and from Lucasfilm because of constantly running down Republicans on Twitter. It wasn't just like, hey, I don't like Republicans. It was like, you people are garbage people and you should be purged from the face of the earth. Well, Twitter loved him.
Well, I was saying, because if you reversed this and said the same thing about Democrats, you would have been blocked from Twitter by now.
Yeah, so Chuck Wendig, he got the call. He's fired because of the negativity and vulgarity.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. Seriously, that's what my editor said. It was too much politics, too much vulgarity, too much negativity.
Too much losing money for the company.
Yeah, basically, I was fired because I was not civil. And Twitter defended Chuck fiercely.
Because here's the thing, you're still supposed to be professional. And companies, whether you like it or not, they have customers from both sides of the political spectrum. And you can't just, be out there defending one over the other all the time. I think politics have just gone way overboard, and people just want to have fun.
Yeah. So that was a year and a half ago. Chuck Wendig was a hero on Twitter.
He was.
And now Chuck Wendig has fallen from grace because Twitter is on the prowl. Like we've been saying in several videos this week, Twitter is constantly looking for fresh meat, and they will turn on their own. So Chuck Wendig ran afoul of Twitter because he is not on board with this temporary Internet Archive lending library, right? There, let me pull up the article. I had to do some digging. I wasn't sure exactly what was going on, but there's a national emergency library, right, that is giving people access to free ebooks during these trying times. And this was meant to be a temporary thing.
Yes.
A temporary thing. Right?
Well, but they're mad because libraries, oftentimes libraries will buy a copy or two of a book, and a lot of people will read that copy or two of the book without buying more copies of the book. That's kind of how libraries work.
Well, yeah, so he was in this article, and we're going to talk about it, because I had to dig. I'm like, I don't quite understand, because the article that people were quoting, the New York Times article, didn't mention Chuck Wendig at all. I'm like, so what does Chuck Wendig have to do about it?
Yeah, what does Chuck Wendig have to do?
Well, he was quoted in NPR like 2 months ago when they started this. Authors, publishers condemn the National Emergency Library as piracy. And they said that last week when the Internet Archive announced its National Emergency Library expanding access to more than 1 million digitized works, the group explained the move as a goodwill gesture. Goodwill gesture in the time of Corona. It was never meant to be a permanent thing. So they talk about some authors who have had some issues with it, including Neil Gaiman, Alexander Chee.
They're not canceled, though?
They're not canceled yet. But Chuck Wendig came up. He had quite a bit to say. This article is from like 2 months ago, but now they're going to...
Is that what this is about, this one article?
Yes.
Okay.
So they're pulling the plug on it. He was not happy with it, and so now they're pulling the plug on it. So Chuck
Wendig's a butt, but they're taking something from 2 months ago and canceling him over.
Again, if you've been paying attention, you've been watching the channel, that is how Twitter works. It doesn't matter if you said it 8 minutes ago or 8 years ago, you will be canceled. It doesn't matter if your opinions have changed, because people constantly change.
Irony, a lot of people are getting rid of Twitter, so Twitter's being canceled every day.
Yeah, right. So Chuck Wendig, prolific novelist who joined the chorus of authors criticizing the move on Twitter, took issue with the notion of calling the Internet Archive's catalog a library. It's worth noting, he said in an email to NPR, that while the site appears to cooperate cooperate with the DMCA takedown notices, authors and publishers do not generally have to submit those types of requests to libraries, which again suggests that this is not business as usual, nor is a library in the expected sense of the word. In the email, he explained that on a recent visit to the website, he was able to find and obtain a full digital copy of one of his books, which he says the group did not have the right to distribute.
Okay, well that is a problem though. I can understand him being mad about it.
I
mean, if that's the case and they did not have the rights to do it, I can see why he'd be upset. But the internet's like, nah, if you put everything that you own, we own, it's socialism, bitch, and we get it for free.
Isn't that ironic? Because a lot of these people who are anti-Republican are pro-socialism. And dude, you shouldn't be making any money off of your work anyway, because there's
privilege.
That is privilege. To be getting paid for your work, dude, that's
there's so
privilege.
many of us out there that aren't good enough, and we should be paid just to sit here and just to write this stuff. But you're privileged because you actually have a deal.
We should all get $2,000 a month to do whatever the hell we want. That's right. It. That's how life works. The problem, this is Chuck Wendig again, the problem with bypassing copyright and disrupting the chain of royalties that lead from books to authors is that endangers our ability to continue to produce art. And though we're all in the midst of a crisis, he sounds like a capitalist. Even though we're all in the midst of a crisis, most artists on the they're on the razor's edge in terms of being able to support themselves.
That's true. During most times, not just during crisis, but they get no safety net. So basically, because I'm out here struggling, you're giving my work away for free and I'm not getting paid. Yeah, that's what he said.
He sounds like a capitalist. If you want to read my shit, pay me.
Well, here's the thing. There's a lot of people who lean the Democrat side, and they're still capitalists.
I know, right? He talks.
We're among them.
We're gonna get to that because he talks about nuance in politics, which is so ironic. So ironic.
You're very excited about this. I could tell.
I am, because Chuck Wendig went out of his way.
I'm a little jealous because you seem more excited about Chuck Wendig and get karma than you do about me and underwear sometimes.
No, God no, no. I just find this very ironic because I'm like, Chuck, come to the dark side. This is where we've been.
We've got capitalism.
Come to the dark side, Chuck. We've got capitalism. You don't have to like Republicans, but you don't have to tell them to go eat shit and die either, which we're doing. You don't have to agree with everything they say. But yeah, making money off your work, that's not such a bad thing. It's a hell of a lot better than everybody starving. But anyway, so libraries around the country deserve their time to shine in this crisis as we realize what vital institutions they are.
Well, I do believe libraries are extremely vital. Yeah. I will always support libraries.
Absolutely.
I used to work at a library, for pity's sakes. And I will always, we've done personal fundraisers for our local library with their own books before. So we will always support libraries.
So here's the thing that's really, we'll read some of the reactions to Chuck Wendig. His own Twitter popping back in. I had to pull this up in a totally different browser. Chuck Wendig has me blocked. I've never interacted with Chuck.
No, but we did a video talking about him, so.
Yeah, but we did a video talking.
Irony, they always block you, but they never block me. It's very rare they block me. They almost always block you.
That's because you're a woman.
Maybe.
It's rude to block a woman.
Maybe.
You gotta let her speak her mind. So Chuck said, popping back in to gently lay down this older post-in in front of you before noping the hell back into the hedge, just in case anybody actually wants the nuance. Chuck.
You shouldn't defend yourself when there's no defense.
Chuck,
How dare you?
Need to fucking have a conversation. Because he actually lives around here somewhere. I think he lives in Pittsburgh.
Does he really?
Yes, he does. I'm pretty sure. Because he was, Chuck, welcome to the club. This is where we've been, where you can not be a Republican and you can lean left, but you're still a monster because you disagree even slightly with the positions that people have, and you have a bit of a capitalist streak in you. God forbid you want to make money off of your work. Nuance is lost, completely lost on these people.
This isn't nuance, though. This is just like reality.
He made these comments like 2 months ago.
Right.
Again, it's Twitter. They don't care. They're prowling. They're prowling for problematic people.
As they purge their tweets to make sure they don't get canceled.
Yep. So Chuck, believe it or not, we probably have a hell of a lot more in common than you think.
So I wouldn't tell people to lick my shit boots, no matter.
I would not tell people to lick
if they were Republican or Democrat. So
we got friends on both sides. Remember when we used to be able to do that?
Hey, I got family who are super uber Republican, and we're not Republican.
We have some heated conversations,
but we're starting to lean more their way anyway. We were in the middle. We were leaning left, but the crazier it gets, we're more like, well, maybe this isn't. I
gotta tell you, Twitter is absolutely pushing me personally in another direction. If it's basically comes down to siding with Twitter or not siding with Twitter, I'm probably not going to side with Twitter.
Right.
And Chuck, you'd be very, very wise to tell Twitter to shut the hell up. Anyway, let's go on to what Twitter, again, they were hoisting Chuck up on their shoulders.
Right.
A year and a half ago.
You tell him there, Chuck, it's wrong what happened to you. How dare they?
Because he was sticking it to the man, and now he is the man. This is a senior video producer at Kotaku.
Oh my God.
Chuck Wendig is one of the worst fucking accounts on here, but this really does elevate him from a guy whose posts suck transcendently to a supervillain.
Because that's someone from Kotaku.
Yep. So the Internet Archive is ending its program of offering free books.
But it was limited anyway.
Yeah, because of a lawsuit from publishers which said lending books out with...
publishers in plural, not just one.
Not just Chuck Wendig. But he might have been one of the louder voices. I don't know. Filthiest poster alive. The worst thing about Chuck Wendig is you can't, boycott him or anything because no one bought his shit anyway.
Sorry.
Chuck Wendig, thinking he has the cosmic clout to pull this off is so funny, dude. People haven't forgiven Lars Ulrich for the Napster shit, and that guy played drums on Ride the Lightning. Chuck Wendig writes YA lit and tweets that are like the force is strong with guacamole. Tiny Baby. Congratulations to Chuck Wendig and all the other tripe peddlers for ruining a genuine public service.
Screw Chuck Wendig and the publishers for wanting money for their work.
Right? Pretty cool that Chuck Wendig decided to play cop on the internet. Cops are bad.
Wait.
Play cop on the Internet Archive.
But here's the thing. The whole opinion is screw publishers and Chuck Wendig for wanting paid for their work. And a lot of people are saying people are like, don't do things for exposure. You should be paid for your work.
Yeah, so I think what kicked off this conversation, if I'm not mistaken, was a lot of writers were talking about how much they were paid recently. That was a thing. It was a hashtag going around, publishing paid me or something like that. And I don't know if any behind the scenes stuff that was going on came out during that or whatnot, but people are blaming Chuck Wendig for all of these publishers.
Even though, as I was going to say, I'm not trying to defend Chuck Wendig. I'm just saying they're saying it's several publishers.
Yeah.
It's not just Chuck Wendig, but he's the one they're calling out. And I bet if you look at some of these publishers, some of these blue checks that they're fawning all over were probably among the people that were wanting to be paid.
Yep. Chuck Wendig is systematically using the legal system to dismantle the functionality of Wikipedia. So now Chuck Wendig is responsible for Wikipedia.
Is he, though?
No. In the Internet Archives, because you can't imagine a world where people don't fork over money for his salmon brain books. Christopher Golden, another author, said Chuck Wendig and every author and publisher who stand against book piracy are effing heroes. Book pirates are thieves who take food off a writer's family's table. Here's the thing. Again, it depends on which side you're on, because if you were actually so many comic book creators complaining about not getting paid. And I will tell you that illegal comic scans absolutely hurt the comic book industry.
Yep.
Because there are so many places out there you can just torrent comics and torrent manga. It's a problem.
Well, Japan's cracking down on it. They're making new rules about piracy laws. They're going to be cracking down on that for manga soon.
Oh yeah, because it's become a massive problem. I mean, manga sales are booming. It's not the sole reason for the decline in comics, but it's become so easy to get illegal scans of comics. So, but then these people are complaining that comics doesn't pay more, and part of the reason comics doesn't pay more is there's so many more people reading comics than those who are actually paying for comics. This is true with Adobe too. People are like, why does Photoshop cost so damn much money? Because I had somebody from Adobe once tell me that for every one person who pays for Photoshop, there are 10 people who have a bootleg copy of it. And that's why they switched to the subscription model to make sure everybody who's using it is actually paying for it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you don't like that concept. Again, I said the other day, Twitter, you want to stop 95% of the toxicity, you put a paywall on Twitter.
Yep.
Pay to play, pay to tweet. I don't usually approve of this, but can everyone just blacklist Chuck Wendig? Blacklist him.
And don't let him, Chuck Wendig was kind of like, pro blacklisting people, wasn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, he was. Republicans. He's like, Republicans, you can just lick the shit off my boots. This is what I think when I see Chuck Wendig bitching about the Internet Archive.
I'm sorry, people. Though I will say, I don't think that it's wrong for publishers and writers to want to be paid. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
And the mentality that everything should be just handed to you because you're you is a big part of the problem.
Yep. So,
oh, Chewbacca got in there?
Oh, God, let's see. Okay, so this is hilarious. Chuck Wendig tries to turn this into a racial issue to make himself a hero. I am not for destroying the Internet Archive, Kyle. I don't know who Kyle Thorson. I have not advocated for that, nor am I involved in any lawsuit that would have that effect. Well, as I understand, I think it's his publisher. I don't think it's him. It's not well-off white guys who get hurt by non-compensation, by the way. We usually do okay. It's everyone else.
Oh, that's why I want being paid, but it's not because I'm a white guy and I know I shouldn't be paid.
Why is everybody blaming? But again, it's more people than just Chuck Wendig. I will genuinely milkshake you if I ever see you in person. Fucking ghoul.
But my point is, I just love it. He's on the defensive, trying to defend these people coming at him, and he was the one coming at people before.
Yeah, that's just it. It's karma's a bitch, and they're talking about the lie. Yeah, he was like, "Dear NPR, hey, this is a pirate website. It's not legit. What are you doing?" Yeah, so welcome to the club, Chuck. We'll just wrap it up with this. Me, authors should be compensated for their work because writers are doing labor. You, a guy with the DSA in his bio, you should die. Me, that seems extreme. You, consequences, Chuck.
Consequences for what?
Let's talk about.
But again, like I said, a lot of people who are bitching about it are people who are out there saying it's not fair. I should get paid for my auditions and my job interviews. Exposure doesn't pay.
And let's remind everyone that Chuck Wendig accused people of being monsters. Winter is coming, you callous fucknuts, you prolapsed assholes, you grotesque monsters, you racists and rapists and wretched abusers, you vengeful, petty horrors. And now you're on the receiving end of it.
Yep.
Welcome to the club, Chuck. Yep. Welcome to the club.
So maybe, here's a takeaway. Maybe all the people you were, calling these names for because you made assumptions about them, maybe you weren't correct. Some of them maybe you were. But for a lot of people, maybe you weren't. And you were generalizing and harassing people, and that sucked. And it got you canned. And now it's coming right back on you. And some of it you don't deserve. And that's not fair, is it? It kind of sucks, doesn't it? Yeah. Welcome to the club.
Call me Chuck.
No.
Yeah, please don't. We're going to wrap it up. We'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.